Go quickly. Is it not prepared yet? I sincerely apologized. Please wait just a little longer. There were voices from the adjoining rooms demanding meals. Yes, that was far after 7 o'clock at night. What in the world was happening? The female hotel manager then showed up to our private room and apologized. There was just one trainee chef left to make the dishes after it seemed like all the chefs had been abruptly taken by a large hotel. Such an amount of food could not have been prepared by one novice chef. My spouse signaled to me by placing her hand on my shoulder. I got up and made my way into the kitchen. I had no idea how this choice would affect the trajectory of my life at the time. Adam, my name, is 31 years old. Born to a homemaker mother and a chef father, I was simply an average person. On his days off, my father, a chef in a fine dining establishment, would frequently teach me how to cook. For me, such culinary sessions with my busy father were priceless. He showed me how to slice steak and allowed me to hold a big knife, even when I was little. My mother looked on, surprised but silently observing us. My parents were encouraging and never voiced any complaints when I tried anything. My goal eventually evolved into being a chef like my father. My father taught me different meals virtually every day, thrilled as if he had discovered my dream. My mother would often watch us, smile softly, and say, "Adam, you can become a wonderful chef." Even though I was really happy for my parents, it wasn't long-lasting. My high school unexpectedly got a call. I was instructed to go home by my teacher. I hurried home, wondering what had happened. Inside the house, I discovered my mother laying on the bed and my father in tears. My mom appeared to have suffered a rapid heart attack because she was already cold to the touch. I repeatedly called my mother's name, but I got no answer. My father became even more absorbed in his work after that day, and our conversations were fewer and fewer. I believe that he was experiencing the same loneliness that I experienced after my mother's abrupt departure, and I started to lose interest in my own life. Regardless of how difficult the days were, my father's job kept him away from home. The loneliness of not having my mother around destroyed my heart. I didn't attend culinary school to become a chef when I graduated from high school. Instead, I started working. I was hired by an international 5-star hotel because of a recommendation from my high school. Arriving at such an amazing career straight out of high school felt nearly miraculous. But when I told my father about the job offer, all he did was nod regretfully. The idea of his only relative going out must have made him feel lonely. As soon as I received the job, I moved out. Living in a house full of my mother's memories was too hard to bear. My father gave me a knife with my name etched on it as I was leaving. This was something I was going to give you when you moved away. Even if you live alone, make sure to prepare for yourself and take care of your health. I said, "Thank you," picked up the knife my father had given me, and walked out of the house feeling conflicted and sad. I loaded up my heavy bag and proceeded to my new home. It was thrilling and fun to work at the 5-star international hotel. It was satisfying, and I even wanted to establish myself there. After 10 years of these kinds of days, my father called me one day. "I'm going to have surgery, so I need you to sign the consent form." I became pale. Is my father undergoing surgery? What was happening? I took off for the hospital. My father was lying on the bed in the hospital chamber. When I saw him for the first time in a long time, I noticed he had become much older. It wasn't a life-threatening surgery for my father, but even so, I made the decision that I wanted to work closer to him. I thus left my 10-year hotel career. Regretfully, my father glanced at me, but there was nothing I could do. I made the decision to move to a prominent hotel in the area. The hotel hired me on as a full-time janitor. Although I was happy to have found work again, the task was not as easy as I had thought. I was in charge of making sure visitors weren't uncomfortable and thoroughly cleaning the lobby, guest rooms, and other areas. I used a broom to properly sweep the area, and then I used a vacuum. I then used a cloth to carefully polish the floor. I had never done such a thorough cleaning of my own home. That's when I realized how difficult it is to make money. At that moment, I was approached by another new employee named Ashley. "Are you also a recent hire? Isn't cleaning a difficult task?" Ashley's big eyes gleamed, her long hair pulled back. "I too am a recent hire. Even the smallest details need to be cleaned." Ashley and I kept cleaning as we grumbled. A powerful voice then reverberated across the room. "Hey, stop talking so much. Adam, you clean too shabbily." "Yes, I apologize," I replied. Mason was the one in charge of onboarding new staff members. I was roughly 10 years older than Mason. He had developed a strong hate for me, saying that out of all the new hires, I was the lowest performer. "Are you even motivated at all? I'll make your attitude right," he said. Mason started treating me worse after that. He would purposefully ruin the rooms I had cleaned or force me to repeatedly clean the same spot. "Hey, incompetent, redo this area." "But I just cleaned it a moment ago." "What? Conversing with me again?" Mason always came to me in a bossy manner, but I was a new employee and didn't know how to respond. These kinds of days persisted, and I was mentally and physically spent. There was one bright spot, though. Ashley and I began dating. Of course, we had a lot to discuss as fellow newbies. Since we had similar likes in food and TV shows, it was only a matter of time until our relationship dissolved. I started to feel better about things. I believe it's due to Ashley's contagious positive energy, which positively impacted me. Ashley and I made the decision to tie the knot after some time. As it happened, Ashley was expecting my baby. Ashley made the decision to resign from her position because her health prevented her from working further. She enjoyed and was proud of her work, so she didn't want to quit, but there was nothing she could do about it. I choose to put in even more effort in response. When Mason learned that Ashley was leaving, he looked at her with confusion. "Ashley is good at her job," he replied, glaring at me. "You should give up if anyone should." However, I was unable to help. Ashley had a bad case of morning sickness. She was unable to eat since it was so horrible. I decided to make her dinner because I was worried and looked up foods she could like. Since Ashley enjoys veggies, I decided to prepare a meal that would bring out their flavors and make eating simpler for her. I got busy making food as I was thinking about this. The food was ready and on the table before I knew it. Ashley's gaze brightened. "Adam, that is incredible. You surpass my skill level by far," she remarked. "I'm impressed," and immediately began to eat. Even though she claimed she couldn't eat because of the morning sickness, she ate it like it was amazing. I was pleased with how quickly she completed things. Ashley questioned, looking intrigued, "Adam, how come you're so good at cooking? You surpassed me by a wide margin." I decided to tell Ashley about this after realizing I hadn't. I inhaled deeply. "You know, I used to have a dream of being a chef. You do recall that my dad works as a chef. He used to teach me a lot of cooking techniques when I was younger." Ashley nodded at this, as if she was happy with my justification for being a skilled chef. I took over Ashley's culinary responsibilities after that because she was ill. Cooking became a method for me to unwind because she was always complimenting me on how good my dinners were. At work, too, there was good news. Mason, who had been mistreating me and calling me inept, was moved to another opulent hotel. Mason had always made fun of me and looked down on me, so not having him around made me feel a lot less stressed. I had more freedom to work at the office now that Mason was not there. After 6 months, Ashley was admitted to the hospital, and I was there too. I was going to become a father for the first time today. I was waiting tensely for the birth of our baby while Ashley was in the delivery room. I prayed for the mother's and the child's health while I was waiting. Then the time arrived. From the delivery room, I could hear a baby's sobs, and the midwife approached me while holding the child. "A girl is involved." "Congratulations," she said. The midwife gave me the baby, which I cradled in my arms. With wide eyes, the small, cuddly infant peered around. I thought she was kind of like myself. I mumbled, "So, I'm a father now. Hi there. You call me Daddy." The baby listened closely as I spoke to her. Very cute. I was staring at the baby when I heard a voice I knew. Adam, congratulations." My dad's voice was heard. I quickly turned around and saw him standing there. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Surprised, I asked. He said, "Ashley told me." My dad hadn't met Ashley when Ashley and I agreed to be married, so I was the only one to tell him about it. He was preoccupied with work, so our chance to get together was lost. Ashley had quietly told my dad about the baby without informing me, and I didn't want to ruin his efforts. Ashley's thoughtfulness moved me. With his eyes narrowed, my father gave the baby a tender glance. "She is quite cute. She resembles you exactly as a newborn. Could I take a grip of her?" I gave my father my daughter. As he embraced her, tears fell down his face. This pleased me to see. Ashley emerged from the delivery room in a wheelchair after some time. She smiled to see me and my father together. I hurried over to Ashley. I wanted to tell her something really important. I looked into Ashley's eyes and said, "Ashley, thank you for our beautiful baby and for letting my father know, with absolute gratitude." Naturally, tears streamed down my face. Blotting my tears, Ashley chuckled and remarked, "Oh, look at you, the crybaby dad." Standing next to us, my father also chuckled. Our daughter Emily was named by my father. Ashley really did want that. Ashley told me how much she appreciated my father naming our daughter. In order to care for Ashley and our baby Emily, I made the decision to take a 2-week break from my hotel employment. It was very happy to spend those 2 weeks with Ashley and Emily. Ashley was my daily dinner cook, and she would eat every meal and tell me how good it was, affected by the flavor. I started to really enjoy cooking. The hotel manager introduced me to a man when my leave ended, and I went back to work after a long break. Clearly, it was Mason. Mason was exactly the same as he was 6 months ago. Why was Mason, who was supposed to have been transferred, here? I pondered. This gave me a horrible feeling. I had no idea how accurate my negative emotions would out to be. "I'm the chief manager, Mason. It is nice to be back at this hotel after a protracted absence. I'm excited to work hard once more with each of you." Mason's reassignment to this hotel startled me. In addition, he had been elevated to the position of chief manager. I thought to myself, well, he probably doesn't even remember me, as I went back to my workstation and got to work. Mason then walked up to me and said something unexpected. "Hey, stupid. You can't even clean properly anymore. For someone so inept, you're really arrogant," he remarked. I believed that the nightmare was coming back to me. It never occurred to me that Mason would think of me and label me inept once more. With a downcast expression, I merely responded, "I'm sorry." Mason laughed and scoffed, saying, "A useless person is no good at anything," and he turned to leave me. Although I felt hurt on the inside, I realized there was no use in opposing Mason. For my own sake, it was better that I remained silent. Fully worn out, I sighed as I made my way home. Mason was waiting for me at work the following day. "You're running behind schedule. Scrub this floor from corner to corner. We have significant visitors arriving today," he growled. Mason appeared more tense than normal. "Our hotel is expecting a 5-star chef," muttered my colleague. "Are you serious? Why is this 5-star hotel's chef coming here?" I pondered. "He's planning to recruit new chefs, aiming to poach a few from a renowned 5-star hotel." My colleague murmured once more. "Hey, poaching. Well, it's not related to me at all." Along with my coworkers, I scrubbed the entire floor as instructed by Mason. I was going to take extra care to make sure there was not a single grain of dust on the shelves or handrails. Mason, however, came over to me with an angry expression. "Can't you even perform basic housekeeping tasks? Dust is still present. Time is running out, so move quickly." That is not possible. I had just finished cleaning completely, but I got agitated and went back to cleaning. Then voices could be heard at the hotel's front door. I turned to see famous chefs, the kind you see in magazines or on TV, chatting with Mason. A chef gave me a quick glance, and I automatically turned my head away to avoid making eye contact. Mason then made his way to the hotel's kitchen with the cooks. I've heard that growing expenses are causing financial difficulties for hotels. Therefore, standing out from the crowd is crucial if you want to become even marginally more well-known than other hotels. Our hotel's restaurant must be an attempt to set itself apart. I considered the management issues at the hotel as if they belonged to someone else. And once more, on this particular day, my father was, for some reason, at home when I arrived home fatigued, and Ashley had a smile on her face. "What's going on?" It gave me the shivers to see the two of them like that. Then Ashley added, "Do you know what day it is today?" leaning closer. I had a lot of questions in my head. Today is? Oh, right. With hesitation, I spoke. Our wedding anniversary is today. I apologize sincerely. I forgot. Ashley scoffed at my sincere tone. It's all right. Work has been keeping you busy. It feels like any other day. You've been so tired lately. Ashley had been observing me closely and was becoming concerned. Let's visit that classic, reputable hotel restaurant you've always wanted to check out. I've asked your father to watch over Emily today. Ashley presented her dinner tickets to me. They belonged to Dylan, a buddy from my time spent working at an upscale hotel. We always had busy schedules and I had always wanted to travel, but we never found time. However, I questioned if my father could truly care for Emily on his own. I became concerned. My father, sensing my worry, added, "You know that I took care of you when you were a baby, didn't I?" He smiled and added, "Go out and enjoy yourselves for a change." Ashley and I made the decision to attend after considering my father's advice. "Many thanks, Dad. Then, we'll be gone." I walked out of the home with Ashley by my side. We had not gone out together for a very long time. 1 year has passed since our marriage. Time passes quickly. I felt so lucky to have Ashley as my wife. We went inside the restaurant of the old-fashioned hotel with great joy. The ambience was distinct from the opulent hotel in which I was employed. The structure had an old-world charm and character. We were shown to a lovely private room with a view of the garden after presenting our dinner tickets at the lobby. As might be expected from a reputable hotel, it appeared that every seat in this restaurant was private. The lavishness of the place astounded Ashley and me. Dylan arrived to say hello after some time. Dylan had not lost his handsomeness. "Adam, a long time has passed. We appreciate your visit to our hotel. Please settle in." "Thanks, we're looking forward to the meal." Dylan grinned and walked off. Before Dylan took over, his parents managed this classic hotel. Its food is so well known that the Michelin Guide mentions it. Even while he was working at the 5-star hotel, Dylan was always a diligent worker. Dylan's efforts have surely contributed to the hotel's appeal. Anticipating the foods that will be presented, we couldn't wait. Myself and Ashley were ecstatic. But regardless of how long we waited, our lunch never showed up. I looked at the time. The evening had already gotten past 7. Ashley and I waited patiently, realizing it was a busy hour. Then, from the adjacent private room, we recognized a voice. "This is taking an eternity. Are the cooks in the kitchen fast asleep?" That voice belonged to Mason. I buried my face in my palms. I didn't want to spend this amazing moment with Mason in a private room. I clutched my head in my hands while Ashley gave me a troubled expression. I reluctantly gave her the rundown on Mason's circumstances. Then Ashley remarked, "Let's ignore him," and gave me a comforting handshake. My heart began to settle gradually. However, Mason's voice reappeared. "Go quickly. Is it not prepared yet?" "Very sorry. It'll just be a little longer, please." We began to hear hurried calls for food from other rooms in addition to Mason's. Ashley and I had been waiting for our supper for more than an hour now. What was happening? While I was thinking about this, Dylan approached. A large hotel chain stole all of our chefs. There's just one apprentice left in the kitchen. This might be the last time our classic hotel exists. "Adam, please lend a hand." Dylan could not decide. "Adam, I think you're the only one who can help," Ashley remarked, putting her hand on my shoulder. Ashley surprised me by meeting my eyes with a determined expression. I am fully informed, Adam. Your chance to shine is now. Ashley therefore knew all along. After then, there would be no reason to conceal it. I got to my feet. I followed Dylan into the kitchen. I hurried over to the kitchen. A young apprentice chef was preparing alone, hurriedly, indoors. I was given an apron by Dylan. After giving myself a short bath, I put on the apron. I started cooking as soon as I saw the ingredients arranged. The sous chef dutifully followed my directions. Dylan silently observed my technique and said, "That's the Adam I know." A few dishes were ready in no time, and the crew started taking them to the private rooms. Sounds of astonishment emerged from the apartments shortly after. "Wow, this is delicious. What's this all about? Nothing this delicious has ever tasted like it before." The cooking was far from done, though. I continued to make one new dish after another. I amazed the apprentice cook with my abilities. He questioned, "Who exactly are you?" as he followed my directions to go. I told him straight up, I used to be the head chef at a 5-star hotel overseas. The trainee cook let go of the radish in his hand. "What? Really? Avoid spilling the food on the ground. Don't stop moving. Keep going." "Yes, sir." In fact, I worked as the head chef at a 5-star hotel abroad in the past. Immediately following high school, I began working at a 5-star hotel. I started out as a waiter, but Mike, the head chef at the time, noticed that I had potential as a cook one day when I was making meals for the crew. Most likely because I learned how to cook from my father when I was a little child. I worked as an apprentice for a few years before being hired as head chef at a 5-star hotel abroad. Being the chief chef was something I had never envisaged, so to be honest, I was astonished. But I was thrilled when I saw people moved by my food. But since I was working abroad, I was concerned about leaving my father alone himself in America. Cooking was not as essential to me as my father. Even if I wasn't staying in a 5-star hotel, I could still cook. I reluctantly gave up my job as head chef. Ashley had never heard about my past from me. It was difficult to bring up. It wasn't that I was hiding it. She said her father had told her about my former position as head chef when I questioned later how she found out. I could understand why that might be. I worked tirelessly with the apprentice chef while thinking back on the past. It was just the dessert left now. There was chocolate mousse for dessert today. After the mousse was finished, I plated it and began decorating. It has been a long since I plated on opulent plates. My skills hadn't seemed to wane. The chocolate mousse was adorned by me like a work of art. Profoundly moved by what they saw, Dylan and the trainee chef observed me decorate. The workers took the exquisitely adorned mousse to the waiting customers' private apartments. Every dish was successfully finished. Both Dylan, who had observed me cooking, and the chef in training, who helped me, cheered. I was respectful to both of them. It had taken me a long time to prepare a full course, and I was tired. "Adam, you really saved us today," Dylan exclaimed, his eyes welling with tears. I'm grateful. I was happy to have helped Dylan. Even though it was fleeting, I liked cooking for the visitors once more. In fact, I was grateful to Dylan for providing me with this worthwhile experience. As I turned to go back to Ashley's room after taking off my apron, a staff member appeared concerned and came up to me. "A guest has requested to meet the chef who prepared today's meal," he blurted out in a hurry. "Yes, I cooked the dinner today, but I'm not the official chef at this old-world hotel. For someone like myself to meet the guests would be inappropriate." Dylan then hurried over. "If you don't mind, Adam, could you greet the guests?" One of my few buddies, Dylan, was staring at me beseechingly. I figured I could at least greet Dylan, if that would help. I got up and followed the employee to the private room where the visitor had asked to see me. It was the adjacent room to the one Ashley and I had been in earlier. "Is this room?" This gave me a horrible feeling. "Pardon me," said the employee as they unlocked the private chamber door. Mason was inside, along with the chefs from the 5-star hotel that had come to visit us today. As I had suspected, it was Mason. I tried not to look them in the eye. Mason started talking, not understanding it was me. Your food was delicious. Every meal was beautifully prepared and delicious. Would you be interested in working for my hotel as the only chef? Mason's praise left me stunned and unable to speak. Mason's kind words about my food surprised me. Dylan was taken aback as well, hearing from behind. I was at a loss for words as I gazed down. Mason leaned in abruptly to get a closer look at my face. Adam. Mason looked astonished, his eyes wide. What brings you here? Did you prepare those dishes? I softly said, hesitantly, due to various circumstances, I prepared those dishes. Mason gave me a disbelieving look. Not at all. How could such delicate foods be made by someone as unskilled as you? Put an end to your jokes. Mason's words boomed across the enclosed space. Mason was seated next to a chef from a 5-star hotel, who fixed his intense gaze on my face. He appeared to have recalled something out of the blue. Aren't you Adam, the head chef? The chef de cuisine gave me a dazzling look. We had met when I was still the head chef at a 5-star hotel abroad, as I could still clearly recall. He helped me back then as an apprentice cook. Back then, the 5-star chef was quite different from how he is now, full of confidence. I always supported him because of this. Mason asked the 5-star chef, "What's going on here?" After learning of the news, perplexed. Mason appeared to be in a panic. It makes sense. He found it hard to accept that this person he had assumed to be a worker was actually a chef. Mason was then informed by the 5-star hotel's chef that I had previously held the position of head chef there. Mason dropped a glass he was carrying by accident. Your dishes were so delicious back then that they were the talk of the town. They were revolutionary. It makes me quite happy to having tried those foods today. Mason, who had looked down on me, appeared unable to accept that I was a world-class chef. That's impossible, he said. Then the chef at the 5-star hotel made an unexpected proposition. Adam, it must be fate that we met here. Would you mind helping me in the restaurant of the 5-star hotel once more? Me, preparing food once more? It was a really kind offer. I was itching to cook again. But I was afraid that being busy would mean ignoring Ashley and my little girl. Then Ashley gently made her way out of the adjacent private room, where she had been listening to my chat. Adam, you never know when you'll get another chance like this, she said as she gave me a quick look. It's acceptable to put oneself before me. I had made up my mind. I said, I'd love to, but there's a place that needs me more, to the chef of the upscale restaurant. I apologize. The chef at the 5-star hotel gave a disappointed nod. Someone else may hold the head chef post in a 5-star hotel, but I believed that I was the only qualified cook this old-fashioned establishment could have. My choice stunned everyone in attendance, but Ashley was grinning. Dylan, I want to preserve this hotel's food. Could I take on the role of chief chef? My statements brought Dylan to tears. You, a distinguished chef, are willing to protect my hotel, even if it's not a 5-star hotel. Dylan repeated the information to me multiple times, but I was set in my ways. I eventually resigned from my position as the opulent hotel's cleaner with firmness. That's when I began working at Dylan's hotel as the head chef. I made every effort to create dishes of the highest caliber, from developing the menu to locating the ingredients. This led to the hotel's restaurant being quite well known very fast. Not only that, but the hotel was entirely reserved. We eventually gained media attention as well, and before we knew it, we had upgraded to a 5-star hotel. It was after I had been employed by this hotel as a chef for a while. Mason was waiting for me when I was ready to leave work as usual. Mason was here, but why? He came over to me, even though I was going to ignore him. Are you thinking about working as a cook at my hotel? I'll provide you favorable terms. Your cuisine is going to make my hotel very well known. Mason, who had always looked down on me, was now acting as if nothing had happened, which astonished me. Simultaneously, I was certain that working at a hotel with someone such as him was not what I wanted. I cannot work for someone who belittles and underestimates others. I then departed the area. Mason was left stunned and standing there. and then a year passed by in an instant. I kept working on creating more menus. These days, reservations for our hotel are booked 3 years in advance due to its increasing popularity. I sometimes take Ashley, my daughter, and my father to the hotel to sample the food because of Dylan's thoughtfulness. My goal is to keep cooking delectable meals that our guests and my family will enjoy.